Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. And so we're continuing our set of videos that had to do with bettering your life, in which we started with personal growth, and we later went on to social growth, and now we're headed to money management, as we mentioned previously. But in money management, we're going to break it down into three categories because it's kind of a bit to cover, starting with budgeting. And I'm going to do that in this video. Later on, we're going to go into investing. And then after that, we're going to go into realty, which is still a form of investing, but I'm going to group it in something separate because it's obviously a little bit different than the investing that we're talking about, which is going to be in terms of stocks and things of that sort. So getting started with the budgeting. As we mentioned, this is pretty much the basis for everything. You got to start with learning how to budget, manage your money. I'm getting tongue twisted here. Money management, or managing your money, starts with learning how to budget first and foremost. First, you have to have, put aside some money that you can even start to invest in or do anything of that sort. So, and a lot of people aren't even familiar with how to how to budget. They aren't familiar with how to go, okay, I got a bill for this, got a bill for that, and they just start spending money, and then everything's all over the place. So the first thing you have to do is start by saying you're going to be paying yourself first. How do we do that? It doesn't mean you have to first put aside the money you got to save right away, but at least form a budget for the month, so that way this is the amount that I should be saving every month, and I'll make sure to hit that goal. So we're going to just jump into it by me coming up with a couple of examples that I'm going to write down, with going off of three set budgets. Now, everybody's money may different. You may not fall into this category, but with the best that you can, try to make your numbers match these numbers. If you make a little bit more, make a little bit less, or whatever works for you. This is just to give you an idea and a breakdown. So we're going to start with 2,000 a month, 3,000 a month, and then 4,000 a month. So keep in mind too that certain people, depending on where you live, certain things might be more expensive, less expensive. So and also in terms of the money that you make. But let's just jump right into it. So starting with our $2,000 a month budget a month. With our 2,000, hopefully you guys can see that pretty well. $2,000 a month budget. The first thing is going to be living expenses or housing. Now, what we're going to do here is kind of split the middle with saying we're going to make this bill dedicate about $700 to this. Now, this could either be that you live in a more affordable or smaller city. In that case, $700 is probably paying your entire rent or whatever the case is. Or if maybe you're in a more expensive city, you're roommating and your 700 is your half of the rent or whatever the case is. Hopefully, you're not in a situation where you're in an expensive city, and you're paying like maybe almost $1,500 on your own. If you are, don't do it. Get out of that situation, roommate, whatever you got to do, but don't be in a situation where you can't save money just because you're trying to live a certain life. So this is either total or partial budget, in terms of your living setup. But either way, that's what you're spending on your living in this example. Phone. Everyone has a cell phone today, and I'm going to put that at 100 because most people are paying somewhere around $100 for their cell phone budget a month, give or take. Car. Now, we're going to divide this, split it down the middle as well, because when it comes to car budget, some people live in big cities where you have public transportation. Some people, are in places where, the cost of living is a little bit cheaper, and maybe they're like, I got to have a new car. We're going to split the middle and say you got a used car. and your car is already paid for, so you're paying the price of insurance or gas. If you were in a big city, this same budget price would probably be somewhere ballpark around the price of, say, a full month public transportation pass. Whatever that form of public transportation is. So in New York City, they use something called a Metro card. In other cities, I'm not really too sure what they use. So we're going to split the middle, like I said, as if you were driving a used car. So we're going to do 100 for insurance. Don't mind if some of the handwriting is off key. I'm just trying to do this quick. 70 for gas a month, because gas right now is pretty expensive. And like I said, this will equal about like the same for public transportation. So obviously the total here is 170, and I'm pretty sure public transportation for the month is something around, something around 150, maybe something like that. So we're looking at around that same price. Now for food, we're going to do this in a conservative way. And I'll explain what I mean. For food budget, this is being conservative. We're going to do $300 a month. And we're referring to you buying your food. You go in the supermarket, you buy stuff for home. You got to go to work and eat. You're going to buy stuff that you could eat and, take out with you in Tupperware, whatever the case is. So we're not trying to go too heavy on food. The purpose of this is you managing your money so you can end up later on, we go into the later videos, investing in, trying to have a better life, obviously connecting with this whole segment that we've been getting into. So not trying to spend too much money. Don't spend a lot of money on outside food if you could avoid it. And miscellaneous, we always got to have a miscellaneous budget. We're going to do this as 230, just simply because we're trying to round it off. And this gives us a clean total of $1,500 with a savings of $500. So obviously miscellaneous, I didn't jump into detail with that. That's just covering your whatever random expenses that might, come into play. Something comes up, something minor. I'm not talking about catastrophic, but something comes up. $230 should cover it, whether it's a day where, we got an event going on. Maybe it's a friend's birthday or something. I want to go out. Okay, I got to dip more into that food budget than what I normally would spend. Maybe I'm going to spend an extra $50 to go out and, have some fun for that night, whatever the case is. But that's for the month. That should work, especially on this budget of $2,000 a month. That's where you're looking at. So you have the savings of $500. Now we're going to go into the $3,000, a month. And same categories. Living expensive is going to be, now in this case, because you make more money, we're going to up that a little bit to $1,000. We're going to adjust everything accordingly for the higher quality of living. But not by that much, because we don't want to lose out on still being able to save. So the phone is going to be the same, because there's no reason why that would change. And your car, now we're going to assume, okay, you got a little bit more money to spend. In this case with the car, we'll say that it was used. In this case now, we're going to say it's new. So now you have a new car. In this case, it's going to make things a bit more expensive, but you got a little bit more of a bigger budget for it. So we're going to do the car note is $400 for the note. Insurance is a little bit more expensive. We're going to do $150 for full coverage. And $70 for gas still. Okay, this gives us a total of $600, $700, $500, $620. I think that's about right. Let me double check. My math's a little bit off. Yeah, so there we go. That's total $620. And obviously you can see the expense is a big difference versus the 2000 a month. And I would suggest, if you could, stay away from getting a new car even in this budget range. But if you feel like you gotta have it because you just feel that need, go ahead. We did the math already, but if you can go on that budget, you would end up saving a significant difference in the amount of money. So the food is going to be the same. There's no need to start overindulging in food. Miscellaneous is an area that is going to go up, but not by much. We are not trying to just randomly throw away random money. Miscellaneous is more of like a semi-emergency, I didn't plan for kind of budget or scenario. And so here our total is 2,320, and our savings is 680. So you see we had it's not a huge significance in savings difference, but like I said, if you were to have a used car scenario or using public transportation, you can greatly change that figure. So let's see where we're at. Yeah, so that's how much we'd be saving under this budget. Now, get rid of this, and we're just gonna turn it around, and we are now going to do the $4,000 a month budget. And now this is going to also be adjusted for a month, a higher quality of living. Now, obviously, we're not trying to go too crazy with it, but nonetheless, so our living expense is going to be, in this case, $1,500. Now, this would be if you're in a more expensive city, maybe you're living alone now. In that case, and if you are in a place where it's a small city and you were paying that previous $700 a month was covering your entire living situation, then obviously you have a lot more money just to put away, at least close to double what you were putting away before, an additional $700, $800 that you're putting away. So, but assuming that you're living inside a bigger city, or just you're living in a small city, but you want that better quality of life, maybe you own a home now you're paying the mortgage, whatever the case is. So that's the situation there, whatever fits. Phone is obviously not going to change, so we're still at 100 with that. And the car is still new, and it's the same 400 for the car note, 150 for insurance, and 70 for gas. And then food is the same too. We're not trying to be out there spending any more money. But like I said, if you happen to go out and spend money, that's going to go into your miscellaneous budget, not into your base food budget, because we don't expect that you'd be doing that every single month. You really don't want to be doing that every single month. Give it a chance for the camera to focus to see these numbers. Miscellaneous 400 now, because you now increase your lifestyle. So what did we have before? Before we had miscellaneous at 300. You've increased your miscellaneous to 400 now, extra $100 just to be on the safe side, because your increase in lifestyle has changed. But like I said, we don't want to go too crazy with that, because you really need to start saving. And in this situation, our total now is 2,920, and you are saving 1,080. So you can see now we're saving a lot more money. We're saving double what we were doing with the $2,000 budget, which is obviously going to be the case because you're making a lot more money. But if this is going off the fact that most people are going to live a lifestyle according to kind of what they make while still being conservative in this situation. But I'm going to still argue this. If you are capable of doing this, if you're making 4,000, try to live in that 2,000 or 3,000 a month budget range and let all the rest of it just be savings, even for a short while. Because then instead of doing this kind of budgeting and planning for a longer period of time, say if it's 10 years, 20 years, whatever it is, you can now cut that time in half if you're crunching down and saving more in a shorter period of time. So that's going to be it for this video, pretty much. Just showing you about the budgeting. We're not going to get into the investing right now. We're going to get into that into the next video. But just want to, like I said, just wrap up to say, try to fall into this. Certain things you can cut. If you make $2,000 a month, try to fall within. This gives you an idea of how to kind of manage yourself. Any other stuff that you have going on, cut those bills. You got a cable bill that's too expensive, cut it. You got some kind of other monthly bill that you spend, cut it. You got a gym bill. Everyone wants to stay healthy. You should stay healthy. If your gym bill is small and you fall into the miscellaneous budget, that's fine. But if you're paying some astronomical amount, cut it. Work at home. Do some calisthenics. Don't get lazy. Run around the block. Whatever you got to do to cut your money, cut your your spending habits, so you can fall within a category where you have some money to save. And obviously, when we get to the next videos, you're going to see how important that is, because the more you're able to put away, the more you're able to invest. All right, guys. See you guys in the next video.